Hello everyone, this is Joanna the Medium. Thank you so much for visiting my channel, and for those of you who are regulars, welcome back. I hope you like these messages. I will keep the intro very brief. These are, as you know, your September messages. A lot of it was channeled at the very beginning. Interesting energies, to say the least. I think I've said this before, we're all going through transformations and a lot of it is coming up. There's a lot of educational information I feel in these messages. So even if you're one sign and you're drawn to another sign that you don't relate normally, you might want to listen and see if there is something for you there, because I feel like they kind of sprinkled tips all over the place that could be useful by anyone, regardless of which category they feel into, because these are life situations that Spirit talked about. Also, for additional information as far as longer term messages, I will put those links down for you below. They are on Vimeo. There is the 6-month projection from July until the end of this year, December 2018. Also, the 7-year Uranus videos are also there, and that's a 7-year projection, so it'll give you the big picture of what things will be like over the next several years. But the 6-month is much more potent, because it's only focused on the next 6 months or so. Of course, if you would like a private session with me, that information is down below. Thank you so much once again for liking, sharing, and subscribing. I always say, without you, I wouldn't do this. And what I do is something that I absolutely love. And I remind myself every single day how lucky I am to be able to do this and love what I do, because it isn't often that everybody gets to do that, right? So that just, I'm supposed to say, that just affirms that when you believe in what you do, things eventually happen. I think that message was for somebody. So I think that's all I have. Thank you again. Of course, if you would like to comment, information is comment down below how this applies to you, and listen to your other signs, for one of them may not mean much to you, but always listen to it at the end of the month or next month, because you guys always tell me that at the beginning it makes no sense, and then you come back and you go, oh my God, I can't believe it. So I wish you best of luck. I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care of yourself, and let's get going. Hello, beautiful Scorpios. These are going to be your messages for the month of September 2018. Let me tune in and get some information for you. Actually, I'm going to tune into a feeling. I'm going to see if I can get a feel for you guys. What is upcoming for the next month or so, or 6 weeks. So right away, I'm getting a sense of anticipation, and I'm actually feeling, I feel excited, but I feel nervous at the same time. This is coupled with, for some of you, a need for change. So this is something that you are feeling is happening, and for some of you, this is something that you are engaging in, and you are hoping something is going to change as a result of you moving forward with something, making a choice or making a decision. Let yourself be seen. Let me just extrapolate that message. For some of you, you have been in hiding for far too long. And when I say hiding, this may mean physically you've been hiding from the world, or you have been closing yourself off, where emotionally speaking, you are not allowing yourself to be seen. And we do this for various reasons. One of the biggest reasons why we do this is to protect our own vulnerability. So we'll talk about what that is, because I feel like they're showing me information that's already in the cards. So this is, they're tying it together already. For some of you, you may have been feeling like life is one big race, as in races, that you're constantly either running towards something or running from something. But the problem is you can't seem to be able to win. Now, whatever win is to you, win could be getting the job that you love and getting paid and feeling nurtured and just amazing. That could be a win. For some of you, it's to be in a solid relationship that everything is just everything is just fine. It's solid. It's normal, as opposed to up and down. That could be a win. For some of you, a win could be that you feel fundamentally just absolutely solid inside of you and nothing can move you. That could be success to you. Success could mean many different things. Win could be many different things, but it feels like many of you have been running away from yourselves. And what I mean by this is that you have been trying to prevent things from happening, and as a result of that, you keep running into walls. I'm being asked to explain more what that means. For those of you who have been shying away from other people with regards to feelings, that is allowing yourself to be vulnerable, allowing yourself to be free with expression, letting others give to you, allowing yourself to be open to a relationship, whatever that is, you have been feeling stuck in that area, and that will affect your relationship, your friendships, your health, and your ability to create abundance. So if you have been in that stuckness for quite some time, it feels like the month of September is offering you a brand new beginning. Now, the brand new beginning could literally mean that you are stepping into something brand new, whether it be relationship, a new set of circumstances, or you are moving to a different state, different country, different city, different job, and that may be the new beginning. And for others of you, the new beginning will be marked by you needing to let some things go, and as a result of you letting some things go, particularly emotionally speaking, you will be solidifying a brand new foundation, stronger foundation, that will offer you the opportunities for something new down the road. I keep hearing crossroads no more. What does that mean? Some of you have been clinging to the unknown for far too long. What does that mean? You've kept yourself stuck in an uncomfortable position in order to avoid potential danger. In other words, let me just see if I can see it differently. Sometimes we keep ourselves stuck because the alternative is even more scary. In other words, sometimes we will keep ourselves stuck in a certain situation, the way we think, the way we feel, the way we do things, whatever it is, because it is easier, even though it's kind of crappy, it's easier or less scary than potentially something that's unknown. In other words, a lot of you have a lot of fears about the unknown. And I would venture to say that most people have some fears about the unknown. Why? Because, well, it's not a comfortable place to be when you don't know what's going on. It's just the way it is. But for some of you, you have like this real fear of starting something new, because you're afraid that if you make that step, something is bound to happen. So many of you are petrified of failure. Now, I would say again, many people don't like failure. Who likes failure? But there's a difference between being petrified by it and by not wanting it. But when you do your best and something happens, you choose to draw wisdom from it, and then you move on. In other words, it does not immobilize you. And for some of you, I feel you have been immobilized with your fears. So you might want to check what that is for you. For some of you, in the month of September, there will be some circumstances that will let you know precisely what that is for you, the stuckness. Some things will transpire in the month of September where your stuckness will become very visible to you. And I don't know what it's going to look like. It's going to be a set of circumstances. Either you hear something, you remember something, somebody says something, you say something to somebody. There's something gets stirred up in a month of September where things will become very visible. It's almost like if you've been hiding from not wanting to deal with something, I don't feel you'll be able to hide it from it any longer. It's going to be staring you right in your face. Now, I don't want you to panic. If you have fears around losing your job, I'm not saying you're going to lose your job. But if there are some things that will come up from your past, and something will trigger it. Of course, not for all of you. Something will trigger it in the month of September. but I want to say this is a good thing. Why? Because it'll offer you an opportunity to shift some things so that you can start something different, start something new. Now, the card that symbolizes the overall energy or the theme, you actually have the card of New Paradigm. And what is New Paradigm? Well, New Paradigm is a shift of consciousness. You'll notice the number 6. To me, I want to say it's a very nurturing number. It's a very motherly number. So for many of you, this will be around the idea of giving and receiving, how you give of yourself and how you receive from others. And there was another sign that I just talked to about that, and that's, I believe, Sagittarius. So if you have a planet in the sign of Sagittarius, you might want to look into it, or if you're on a cusp, because the message is very similar. In other words, for some of you, the idea of nurturing yourself versus others is very alien. And that will have a lot to do with giving and receiving. Another part of the message is shift is happening, and there is no point in trying to stop it or trying to work against it or trying to prevent it from happening. In other words, when change is coming and you can't do anything about it, the only thing that you can do is accept it and just move with it the best you can. Now, how could this externalize itself? It literally could be gazillion different ways. For example, it could be, let me see, what example could I give you? Let's say you are applying for various jobs and you had this one thing that you really wanted and you had high hopes for it. And then you applied for it, you got interviewed, and you were sure you got the job, but then you got the memo that somebody else was picked as the candidate, or the candidate was picked, and you become very distraught. The message here is this: you may not understand what the reason behind it is right now, but the only option or viable option and choice that you have is to accept what is happening and keep going. In other words, do not let that ruin everything that you do going forward. Do not let that failure keep you stuck, and all of a sudden you go into hiding and you say, I'm never going to go apply for other jobs other than these little things. In other words, don't let a disappointment ruin a good thing in the future. And I'm being asked to define disappointment here. Disappointment is a set of circumstances that we wanted to, but it turns out we can't have it, and there's a part of us that's really disappointed. Sometimes we need to feel certain disappointment in order to recognize something better down the road. In other words, sometimes circumstances will be put in front of us or in front of you in order to help you avoid a disaster. What could that be? Well, let's say you got this job, but you didn't realize that this job actually requires you to work 12 hours a day. And that's just a metaphor, because you were not made aware of that and everything was wonderful. But now that's a big concern. So now you got this job that you thought you wanted, it pays you okay, but now you have to work 12 hours a day and you're like, what the hell am I going to do? So rather than having that to deal with, the universe said, well, even though you think this is good for you, it actually isn't. You just don't know what that is yet, but we promise you there is something better on the horizon. So your job is to accept what that is at the moment and to move on. Shift is inevitable. We all shift every single day, but the new paradigm is a shift of perspective. So it sounds like in the month of September, you're going to have opportunities to see the things differently in your life. You have the card Why and the card Imagine, and also the card Lovers in reverse. So this is what I'm seeing this. It is important for you to watch your thoughts and watch the stories you tell yourself that have to do with being loved, with being accepted, with the idea of relationship, with being solid on your own 2 feet. In other words, learn to ask yourself some deep, important questions. Why do I do the things that I do that keep me stuck? What is it that I get from it when I keep doing this? What is it about me that believes I can't have it any other way? What are some of the things that are inside of myself that are blocking me from receiving something different? Perhaps you don't know how to receive, and that's again the message that I gave to Sagittarians, so you might want to listen to it, because it's very important. So there's definitely issues here to deal with around the idea of relationships. Now, this Lovers is obviously relationship, but if you have had difficulties with relationships in the past, it's really important to ask yourself, what is your belief about relationships? Not the one you want, but the one you believe. And the best way to find what your belief is to look at your relationships and notice a reoccurring pattern that you keep struggling with. And then ask yourself, why do I continually do what I do in order to give me the result that I don't want? In other words, when you begin to prod, when you begin to ask, when you begin to search deeper, you begin to realize that there are answers you never asked for, but the answers that you are receiving right now allow you to have a complete shift of your perception about life. The moment you shift your perception is the moment your entire future shifts. Conditional thinking, conditional believing. What do I mean when I say this? If you have conditioned yourself to believe that relationship never lasts, that conditioned belief will play out in your life every single time. You will prove yourself correct every single time. So it is important for you to look at your beliefs, to look at your thoughts. What energy do you send out there by thinking certain things on a regular basis? If you keep saying to yourself, I'm a failure every single time, that will not make you feel better about yourself. If anything, it'll just solidify the idea that life gives you failures. Because you have the milk and honey in protection position, it's telling me that it's time to look at your consciousness. It's time to have a shift of consciousness. This is about the conditioning that is rooted in lack, not having enough love, not having enough prosperity, not having enough peace. That is rooted always in the past, because we believe based what we have experienced. Our truth is based on our experience. So it's important to look at those things inside of yourself and ask the questions, why? Why do I continually struggle with the things that I struggle with? What is it that I'm not getting? What is it that I'm here to understand from this? And see if you can see it from a different perspective. Chances are you came into this life and one of the things you chose to understand about yourself is the idea around nurture and giving and receiving. And perhaps you chose to experience what it's like to feel disempowered and then get to a point where you empower yourself and you help others to achieve the same thing. And that's just in a nutshell. You also have Queen of Wands and time to nap. So I see this again as a bit of a story. The time to nap on its own is very much about keeping yourself too busy, keeping yourself too preoccupied, keeping yourself in a constant do mode, but not enough rest. Now, the doing action is the more of a masculine energy. The receiving, more passive action passive aspect is the feminine. Again, we're talking about the giving and receiving. So some of you don't know how to nurture yourself, and on the contrary, on a flip side, you are always in the do mode, and it's always about giving, doing. So the message here is stop and pause and ask yourself, why do you continually do this? For some of you, this is a sign that you are way overworked. And if you are a workaholic, ask yourself the question, is your work some sort of your therapy? Are you getting something out of working all the time that you're not able to get anywhere else? Chances are if you are overworked, you're probably not very happy. You're probably quite imbalanced in some way, and life probably isn't a whole bunch of joy because you're always committing yourself to something other than you. You have to ask yourself some questions. The Queen of Wands suggests to me that this might be something around your own work. So this could be you are overworking in your own business, or you are this is your work environment. For some of you, this is you focusing entirely on other people and not paying attention again to yourself. You have the High Priestess, and when this High Priestess showed up, I said, what does this card represent? And I hear the word they're lacking self-esteem. And why would that come with this card? Well, it comes with this card because the message here is so the High Priestess is very balanced. She is very, she's equally analytical as she is intuitive. Notice the black and white, the two opposing signs. She has the moon, which is the feminine power. She has the cross, which is her belief. She has the fruit behind her, the, what's it called? Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot the name. The pineapple, which is a sign of prosperity. In other words, this woman is very confident, and she's not full of herself, but she's very confident. She's logical, but she's also intuitive. And she uses her abilities depending on each situation. This is what you need to be more like. This is completely the opposite. This is being overworked, overtried, overcompensating, over. This is balance. This is more being in control of your life. This is being more in control of your emotions. This is being more in control of your destiny and having a solid foundation in that belief. For some of you, it's time to leave your past behind. And this speaks to your, what does it speak to for them? Some sort of a loss. It is about letting the loss be in your past. This could have happened a year ago. This could have happened 55 years ago, and somewhere in between. Notice if there are some things that you are still holding on to that are preventing you from creating the life that you want, which is about giving and receiving. And notice your thoughts as a result of what happened. And notice how the loss in your past is affecting your relationship. Not only your relationship with yourself, but also relationship with other people, particularly in relationships. And notice how you perpetually do certain things over and over, but you arrive at the same destination. In other words, nothing is changing. Chances are, the month of September is going to offer you the opportunity to shift the way you think, which will allow you to change your future going forward. Be yourself and be mindful what you tell yourself always. So we know what being yourself means. It means allowing yourself to be you. It also means allowing yourself to be a little bit vulnerable, because vulnerability at the end of the day is the epitome of strength. If you can allow your vulnerability shine, that is the epitome of strength. Many people don't think that way, and I never thought that way until Spirit said that to me, and I thought that is actually so true. That is brilliant. What do you say to yourself is equally as important, because the words we tell ourselves, whether out loud or otherwise, act as a conditioning agent to solidify our current belief system or to begin a brand new one. So if you have thoughts running in your mind that you are less than, that you are not attractive, that you are never going to have a great relationship, that you're never going to have a great job, that you're never going to make any money, those are the things that feed you. So you might want to ask yourself, is this something you'd want to feed your child? If you constantly told your child that he or she can't, isn't, will never be, what do you think that child would grow up believing about him or herself? Probably not very much. So it's important for you to pay attention to how you nourish you. What are some of the things that you tell yourself? They're asking me to pull an animal card, and that's interesting. So let me see what important information, I don't think I've done this before, impromptu. For many of you, this is also about waiting and seeing. It's about observing. It's not so much about acting, but it's about observing in the month of September. And then it's almost like, yeah, observing. That's what I'm going to say. But what card wants to, what? Okay. So you have the fish here. So many of you may feel emotionally all over the place. It is important to find your balance, which is also the number 6, which is also the Lovers. So this speaks to emotional imbalance. There's a need for you to look at that in the month of September. Why? Because the month of September is going to allow you to let some things go in order to have a brand new beginning. And remember the excitement I was feeling about earlier, the excitement of something new. There is something new on a horizon. Whatever that is for you, it's exciting and feel it. It has to do with expression. We express ourselves creatively. We express ourselves in relationships. We express ourselves in love, in work. There's something very exciting, but you have to stop pushing your feelings down. You have to stop disallowing your emotions tell you what's going on. And oftentimes we suppress emotions because we don't want to feel things that are uncomfortable. The problem with that is that when we stuff it like a sausage, it just sits there like a festering, and it just gets poked. And when it gets poked, you get overwhelmed. When you get overwhelmed, you get fearful, and on it goes. So time to look at some things in your life and ask some questions. Why do I do what I do? Why do I behave what I behave, how I behave? What is my thought pattern? What is my consciousness? Is my consciousness rooted in lack, or is it rooted in abundance? And depending on what your answer is, then you have to figure out what's next. But huge opportunity to shift your perception in the month of September. And which is very healing. And I think that's all I have. I do wish you best of luck. There's a lot of changes everyone is going through. You're no different. I hope this does make sense. If it doesn't make sense to you right away, listen to it at the end of the month, or possibly in the month of October. If this applies to you, I would love to read your comment. Thank you again so much. I wish you best of luck. Take care of yourself. Nourish yourself. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.